at the beginning of the hour number 3 by Marc Lotter, Director of Trump 2020 Strategic Communications. Always a pleasure, Mark. Thanks for joining me on this wet day inside the Beltway. I'm sure you've been at work for hours already.
I am down actually in Charleston, South Carolina, where it's wet as well.
Are you going to be doing the spin room tonight? Is that why you're there?
Well, they don't let me actually in the spin room. The Democratic committee doesn't allow us inside, but we'll do our best to make sure we're heard here in local and national media from right here on the debate site.
Now, Mark, the obvious first question. Mike Bloomberg releases 3 NDAs. So the obvious first question is, how many NDAs are there? Do you think it will get asked?
I think it likely will. I think Elizabeth Warren was asking at the debate stage in Las Vegas last week how many there were, and Mike Bloomberg didn't really have a good answer. I would hope that if he did anything from learning from Nevada was that he should have fired his debate prep team because they were absolutely horrible. And despite the fact he has billions of dollars, he clearly didn't have enough money to buy a clue.
You should also see his social media, that Team Mike. If that's the best social media you can buy, then it's not for sale. It's horrible. And I just wonder about whether or not Bloomberg's been out of the game too long. Joe Biden's been in the game too long, but I think Bloomberg's been out of it too long, Marc Lotter. Do you think his campaign is slow on the uptake?
I think they really are. I think he's campaigning from a style, from 10 plus years ago, and it moves a lot quicker right now. And if you can't even handle the JV team on the Democrat side, wait till you step into the ring with our campaign and Donald Trump.
Let me play for you Joe Biden yesterday in South Carolina, because this is sensitive, but I want to ask you about it. Cut number 13, the former vice president reminiscing yesterday.
And folks, one of the things I'm proudest of is getting passed, getting moved, getting control of the Paris Climate Accord. I'm the guy that came back after meeting with Deng Xiaoping.
Now, Mark, Deng Xiaoping was dead 20 years when, more than 20 years, when the Paris Climate Accords were negotiated. That follows hard on Joe telling us he got arrested trying to free or visit Nelson Mandela. This is not normal, even for Joe, for whom gaffes are a daily cup of coffee. This is not normal stuff. Do you agree?
No, I agree. In fact, it was even made worse, I believe, last night. At least I saw it last night when he closed out a rally asking South Carolina Democrats to vote for him for the United States Senate. He was running as a Democrat nominee for the United States Senate, and it's really getting embarrassing. And it's something that I think the Democrats are going to have to take a look at as they go to the polls here on Saturday in South Carolina.
Now, I have already cast my ballot in Northern Virginia because I will not be here on 3-3. I voted for Bernie Sanders because it was an open primary. I hate open primaries, but as long as they're the law of the land, I'm exercising my franchise, not because Bernie's the weakest candidate. I don't think he is. I think that's Elizabeth Warren and probably Joe Biden, but because it's the clearest, starkest choice. I know the rote answer is the president doesn't care who he runs against, but wouldn't you like to run against Bernie Sanders, Marc Lotter?
Well, and it's true. The answer is we don't care. But I also have done this long enough that I don't usually try to wish for my opponent, because sometimes you might get what you wished for and not expected it. Because every Democrat consultant would have told you in 2016 you want to run against Donald Trump, and that didn't really work out very well for them. So I'll let them pick their candidate. We're prepared for any of them. But you're right. Having a self-proclaimed socialist leading your ticket, he's already been leading their policy shop for years because they're only debating his policy ideas right now and that of the squad. You got to wonder, is this where they really want to go?
Yeah, I repeat, I don't think it will be the easiest candidate. That would be Elizabeth Warren, because Michigan will not vote for Elizabeth Warren, period. But Bernie brings a stark choice before the American people, a choice we have to make, whether we're going to go down the road of socialism or whether we're going to stay with free market. It's a choice we have to make. He clarifies it, and that's why I want it. Let me turn to Inside Baseball. I'm looking at the official Donald J. Trump website, donaldjtrump.com. The first thing that comes up is 35, 50, 100, 250, 500, 1,000, 2,800, other. Make this a monthly recurring donation. They better not do that for 2,800. That's not legal. But how is the fundraising with the small donors, Marc Lotter?
Unbelievable, off the charts. We've seen a 20 to 30% increase in small dollar donors since Nancy Pelosi announced her impeachment inquiry. Just last month in January, between ourselves, the Republican National Committee, and our related committees, raised a record $60.5 million. 200 million cash on hand, over a $500 million raised already. And but the key is, and this is very important, I mean, President Trump got outspent in 2016. Obviously, Bloomberg can burn billions, but if you don't have the right message, it doesn't really matter how much money you have. So not only do we have a huge cash advantage right now, it's how we're spending it, putting money in the targeted states. I hear it from state chairmen all over the place. They've never seen this kind of support financially and with staff from a presidential campaign this early in the cycle, and that's where it's really going to come back and benefit the president in November.
Now, explain to me why $35 matters to Donald Trump and to his campaign. I mean, if they go to Donald J. Trump, that's your initial ask is for $35. Why does that matter?
Well, because what we have seen in our data, and of course we have a tremendous data analytics team, is that if you're willing to make a small contribution, you're much more likely to vote on November 3rd for the president. So, there's a number of factors we take into it. If you attend a rally, you're like 98% likely to vote for the president. If you donate $1 or, $35, you become 99% likely. And in some of these close states and in a close election, that kind of energy matters. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that we're capturing not just the big dollars, but the little folks. I mean, we've raised over $1 million selling plastic straws.
Well, please send me some because I hate paper straws so much. I think you can win the election on the paper straw issue. But Marc Lotter, stay with me on that. I've never worked inside of a campaign. I've only volunteered for campaigns, and now when I went in the news business, I've not. So I don't know the correlation. I thought there was a correlation between small donor and voting. Is there also a correlation between small donor and volunteering?
Yes, absolutely, and it's a very high percentage, and it's also very high for the folks who go to our rallies. And we like to joke inside the campaign that if you're willing to camp out for days in bad weather, or even just take the day off of work, stand in line for hours in potentially bad weather to see the president, when we come back to you in September and October, we ask you to make 10 phone calls to your friends or just get out to vote. You're likely to do it if you're willing to do all that other stuff on the front end.
All right, so inside baseball, last time you were on, you talked about making Minnesota, New Hampshire, and Nevada states in which the Republicans were competitive. And I've always said it's a three-state election, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. You added those three. Are you still pouring resources and people into those three? Are you trying to extend the map anywhere else?
Absolutely. We're also making a serious play in New Mexico, in Colorado. We've even sent Brad Parscale, our campaign manager, Laura Trump, to Oregon. And I think when you have Bernie Sanders as the leader of the Democrat primary process right now, every state in the union is in play, with the exception of maybe being the People's Republic of California.
And Vermont. I mean, Vermont is lost to coherence. And so Oregon, I am a little bit surprised by that because Oregon has been lost to the normalcy of American politics for a long time. What is going on in Oregon? Tell me about that.
Well, we're seeing it when you get outside. When you get outside of the major cities, when you get outside of Portland, there is a huge MAGA component there, a very large swath of people who support the president. And then when you start to get closer in, when we can make that case about the growing economy, about paychecks going up, and really just highlighting the failures of liberal leadership in those states, in those cities, we're starting to see more and more people are being open to having that conversation. And until the data shows us otherwise, it's a conversation we're going to continue to have.
Let me close with coronavirus because I think the president has stumbled here. And I have a column about this on the landing page at the Washington Post. I do not believe we can leave this to even the very competent Alex Azar and Dr. Fauci. I think you need to elevate this. What do you hear about the president's response to coronavirus? Is he going to up the game here?
I think we're seeing that. We saw the budget request go to Congress for $2.5 billion to help deal with it. What we see going on the backside, the stuff that you don't see in the news every day, is America is still the leader in terms of technology, in terms of innovation. So our laboratories right now, whether they are private sector or in partnership with the CDC, are working hard at not only being able to identify and diagnose the virus, but also working on a vaccine and treatment for it. That's in the works, and it's going along well.
I hope you will go read my column, Mark, because I think you need to do more in terms of comms, but you're the expert on that. I'm just a talking head. Marc Lotter, Director of Strategic Communications for Trump 2020. Follow him at Marc, M-A-R-C _Lotter, L-O-T-T-E-R, Marc _Lotter on Twitter, and then you'll be as smart as everyone who follows him. Stay tuned. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show.